This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Most years, you hear a player from the Vancouver Whitecaps on this podcast. As a longtime fan of not only the sport, but of the team, I do my best to grab a player to be a guest. Well, the last time I went to a game, Don Andrews, the voice you hear in stadium, toured me and my 2 kids around after the game was done, which was very cool. And when Thomas Hasal was a guest, he was the goalkeeper for the Whitecaps. Of course, now you'll see him as the keeper for the Los Angeles FC. Thomas talked in depth about the game, of course, but opened up with us about all sorts of things, like the music that was in his house as a kid growing up, the shows that he was binge watching at the time, his thoughts on the fake crowd noise at pro sports during COVID. We talked about growing up in Saskatchewan and what's that like, locker room pranks, time travel, comic books, and stop me if you've heard this before. Thomas talked about realizing his true potential and how his grandfather inspired him.
Yeah, it's tough. It was always my dream since as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
I think definitely coming on trial when I was 14 was like, wow, this could be an opportunity and that could lead somewhere one day. And then it really would have been when I was probably 15, 16, when I was like, okay, I really feel like I am good enough to get there and then progress through the stages and get to the next level.
Okay.
Obviously, there was tons and tons of work to be done through there in different steps. Coming into the academy, working through the levels, seeing what the first team was like, being with the youth national teams. And then each one of those, you're like, it's almost turning more and more into a reality. So there's a lot of different spots in your career where you think like, okay, this is definitely something you could do.
Yeah, for sure. And you credit your grandfather for kind of getting you introduced and really ramped for the sport. He was a goalkeeper as well, was he not?
Yes, he was. He was a huge soccer fan, biggest one I know. And he would always watch my games, like playing with the national team. He'd be up in Czech Republic at like 3 a.m. watching on the big screen, no matter what. And he was all in it with me. He definitely introduced me, kind of helped me get a passion for the game. And that would have been one of the best things in the world if he was able to see me play with the first team and play professionally.
Stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their Only One story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.
Buffet brawlers, glory holes gone wrong, cannibalistic castration cabins, public poopers? These are just a few of the crazy topics you'll hear covered on Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the pettiest podcast around. Whether you need a break from all that murdery true crime stuff, or just enjoy hearing hilarious stories told in a unique way, I got what you need. I'm Leroy Luna, your fearless host/chauffeur. So come hop in my minivan and let's go for a ride. I promise you probably won't be disappointed. Excuse me, that's illegal. Is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically everywhere you consume podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of the month, baby!
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.